everyone. This is Nasir Qureshi, Realtor Daddy from Houston, Texas, with Texas Signature Realty on the show Wisdom Wednesday on demand. Once again, another hot topic, another hot guest in the real estate industry. And we're bringing you on demand Mr. Klodian from Houston, Texas as well. Hi, Klodian. How are you?
Fantastic, man. What a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yes, you're welcome, sir. Thank you for your time. So, what we going to audience we going to talk about is real estate agents, brokerage, how to become successful, and Mr. Clodian. We're going to learn from him about him and about his recent book. So, tell me about your book, Clodian.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man. So I had a training manual that I was using with my agents for the longest time, and it proved to be very effective. And some of the people I was mentoring were asking me to put it into a book, but it took a while because I never really thought of myself as an author. So and one of the people that I was mentoring said, this is kind of like a blueprint. And I said, I love it. That should be the name of the book. And it became the Agent Blueprint. And what it really is it's about how do you really become a realtor? You mentioned we're in Houston, Texas here, and we get people coming here from all walks of life. I think you and I had that conversation the other day about how you became a real estate agent. And, like I say in the book, like nobody grows up to become a real estate agent. It's not a long time dream for people. Like kids dream about becoming doctors, astronauts, and whatever. Superman, Spider-Man. Nobody says I want to be a real estate agent, right? So it's just a profession we tend to fall into, and because of that, here being Houston, we get a lot of people that are either from the healthcare industry or sometimes even the oil and gas industry. So, it's like, oil prices, are causing people to lose their jobs. And next thing you know, they're like, oh, I'll sell a house. You know, they're like, Klodian made $1 million from this deal. I can do it too.
Yeah,
You know, and
good.
and uh, and what they think we do is we open doors, and soon agents realize that it's a little bit more involving than that. But what's really most important about the agent blueprint that it's not a guideline to how to become a real estate agent as much as it's a guideline for how to live with being a real estate agent. Um, I actually had encountered an agent who was very, very successful in her business. She's here in Houston, as a matter of fact, and she did very, very well. And unfortunately, she neglected her health. So it happens all the time. So the Agent Blueprint actually dives deep into how you structure your day and how to have a holistic approach to real estate, if that makes any sense.
Yes, it does. It does. Tell us a little bit about who is Clodian, where you from, and how did you become started as a real estate agent so our audience can know and get to know you.
Absolutely. So I'm originally from Albania. I was born and raised over there. Came here through the diversity lottery visa back in the early 90s. Grew up in a one-bedroom apartment, family of four in Albania. And it was, home ownership in a lot of places in the world is really a dream. So when we say about the American dream of home ownership, for some people it really was a dream. So we came here initially. We lived in Pennsylvania and Philadelphia for a few years, and then we made down ourselves down south here. My father's in oil and gas, so that's kind of how we made it over here. Uh, in 2000, my father bought his first home, and he was so proud. It was a very small, well, it wasn't small. It's modest, let's just say, a modest home in Katy, Texas. For him, it was a dream. So I vividly remember him opening the door, and he was just so proud, and for us to walk into our first home in Katy, which he still owns, by the way. And for me, what was a dream was to have my own room. And I would kind of like fantasize and dream about, like, okay, I'm have my own room. What would I put on the walls, and you grow up uh like we did in other parts of the world, and we watch movies, about kids having their own rooms and have their rooms decorated with their posters and stuff like that. For me, that was a dream. So it was a dream that became a reality when I was 20.
Hmm.
And uh we spent a lot of time researching the market on how to buy a house, and we just didn't know. Especially when you're from another culture, from another country, you don't know about the mortgage. You don't know how to get a mortgage. You don't know what goes into searching for a home. Like one thing that we didn't know about is schools, like the school district, right? Like that just wasn't a thing, you know. What do you mean good schools, bad schools? Or, like, how is that even relevant? We didn't know about that. How to properly pay bills or getting home insurance or home warranty. We had no idea. We didn't even have a home warranty. So those are the things we just didn't know, and we just kind of learned. And around, I would say 2004 is when I made the decision to buy my very first property, and I was about 23, 24. Yeah, I was about 24 at that time. So about 4 years later, after my parents purchased their first home, um, I decided to get my first property, and it was around the time where the market was taking a nosedive. Um, and I decided I was going to get my first condo, and what I could afford was a fixer-upper. So I accidentally became an investor, a rehabber. Spent some time on YouTube University, as we call it, and spent a little time going to Home Depot and learning how to get rid of carpet and how to lay down flooring and do painting. And I literally made every mistake in the book, every mistake in the book. But I was very, very proud. I spent a lot of money trying to rehab this small condominium, was about 600 square feet. And then I just got the bug, and I was like, this is okay. I like this. I can do this again. And I did it again.
Hmm.
Uh, and then what happened was my agent wasn't available when I wanted to be available. Like I wanted access to properties. So I was like, man, I need to figure this out. I need to know how to gain access to properties. And mind you, around 2004, I actually graduated from University of Houston with a degree in technology management. So technology was taking a nosedive as well during those times, and it was kind of hard to find a job. So I was like, let me just flip. So that's what I did. I just did some flips. I did some rehabs, and then it became a necessity for me to get access to properties. And then once I got access to properties, then it was like, all right, well, I need to know how much these things are worth. So then one thing led to another. I took some classes, had no intention of ever becoming a real estate agent, by the way. No intention. You and I talked about how much we despised agents, right? And it's like one step closer, to being a door-to-door salesman. So, um, I became an agent completely by accident because it's like, let me take some classes to educate myself, be able to run some CMAs, talk the lingo, right? And then it became apparent that I needed to get off-market properties, like really go like to where the source is. So I did that for a little bit, some wholesaling, and then once I became a real estate agent, then people were coming to me because
Hmm.
they're like, "Oh man, how are you getting these properties?" So then I started helping the community out, friends, relatives, people within the community. Word kind of got out. This was back in 2005, 2004, 2005. So, and then I became licensed around, I believe, 2008 or so when the market crashed. People were getting out. I was getting in, you know? So, and then the natural progression of things. I unfortunately I have a saying that says it's very expensive to be cheap, and I decided to be cheap because I was an investor. So I will not name the name of the brokers I was with, but I was with a brokerage that dedicated zero time and attention to new agents, and I sometimes look back at my career and ask myself, how did I not get sued? Because I made a lot of mistakes. Luckily, I learned from those mistakes, and maybe the agent blueprint should be a blueprint of what not to do. You know?
Exactly. Let me ask you
So
a
so
question.
Yeah.
Let me ask you. You are experienced real estate professional. Uh, Name two challenges or problems you still have being an agent today, and how you deal with them.
You know, the main challenge that I still have is I call it being a real estate agent is like, what's that saying? I'm probably gonna get it wrong, but putting a square peg in a round hole.
Mm,
That's it. If you are considering being an agent, you got to master that because that's exactly what real estate is, at least residential side. Uh, the challenge is making people happy, man. That's really the main challenge is how do you please the seller and please the buyer at the same time. Negotiations is not about one side winning, it's about everybody winning. And that's really the main challenge is to make people happy.
I love it. I love it. So you don't have to spill out your secrets. I'm not asking that, but for the new agents or anyone watching this on television, Roku, Fire TV, YouTube, anywhere, couple of pointers to generate leads, drum up new business. Just throw at us something, couple of things.
It's not a secret. I'd love to. I actually do talk about it in my book as to how you can actually generate leads,
Okay.
but it's not, I don't call it generating leads. I say go out there and create relationships
Okay.
because the person that creates relationships will have an unlimited supply of business. It's just that simple. This business you're not in the business of selling homes. You're in the business of creating relationships with people. And if people, if they like you, they'll listen to you, but they trust you, they'll do business with you. And it's just that simple. And that's exactly what we talk about in the book is how do you create these relationships? How do you get people to trust you? Uh, and for me, that's being a straight shooter, man. Just going out there, being a straight shooter, telling people exactly like setting the expectations. One thing that people don't do that I wish they did, and I also tell people our brokers to do. If you're working with a buyer, do a buyer consultation. Sit down with them, talk to them, set the expectation, tell them what you're going to do for them, tell them what's expected of them, and tell them what you're going to do for them. It's just that simple. And you'd be surprised how many people don't do that. That's
Um,
it.
that's great tip. I personally think that I'm not in a sales profession. My style is education. What would you say that are we to those agents that they say uh, they they don't like sales or they're not in sale? I mean, they don't like sell. They don't want to sell something.
Good,
What do you say? What do you
good.
say to the agent? Those
Because
agents?
we're not, listen, we're not here to sell people. Okay, because it's like to me selling it's like getting convincing you of something that you don't want to do, right? That's not what we do. You just hit the nail on the head. The successful agents are agents that consult their clients. Listen, let's just be realistic here for just a second. If I was to make a list of all the things that we do as real estate agents, um out of a list of 10 to 15 items, there's probably one thing there that they need you for, maybe two. So if I write the list is like opening doors, running CMAs, tell me what the tax rates are, whatever. Today's consumers are extremely educated, so they're going to come to you with what they want, but they need you for one thing and one thing only, and that's advice. That's it. You get paid for advice, nothing else. Not to open doors, negotiation, sure, but that's within advice. So you're not selling. We're not selling to anybody. I'm not convincing. I'm not knocking on doors and telling people that they need a home. You know, I want them to want a home. Wherever they are is perfectly fine by me. Hmm.
Um, what do you say to the camera shy agents? Even though we're in front of the camera right now, we all carry one in our pocket all the time. I don't know where that comes from. Camera shy. What do you say to the camera shy agents?
The only agent that was successful, the only agent that was successful being secret was 007. Okay? It's that simple.
Uh,
Don't be a secret agent. People need to know you're still an agent.
I just laugh at my own question, man. It's just so it's so
People need
hilarious.
to know you're an agent. People need to know deliver value. Right now we are in the buyer's market. I'll give you a tip. I'll give your listeners a tip. Do you want business right now? Right now, get your camera, get in your car, get your nice shirt and blazer, go to all the new builders and just take a video of their inventory.
Yeah,
They will love you for it. You're going to
yeah.
create content for your
Content.
customers, make a list, and tell these uh, builders, I want to bring you business. Send me a list every single week and send that list to your people. That's it. That's how you're going to do it.
Your professional opinion about Houston real estate market and Texas real estate market.
You're still
Let me specify.
okay, sure.
Let me specify. It was a very vague and general question. I get this question too. So, uh, should the residential investor invest in residential Houston market?
Well, define invest.
Invest,
Because
let's say they want to buy a property. Uh, Great question. So let's talk about the primary. Any family wants to buy a home for their family in Houston, Texas right now in July 2025. Should they buy it or not? Very specific.
I think when you look at the national averages, I think Houston, compared to other metropolitan areas, is still at the bottom.
Hmm.
And listen, I mean, I started my journey, like I said almost 20 years ago. Excuse me. I started my journey almost 20
Bottoming
years.
in a what way? Can you elaborate? But still at the
Absolutely. Yeah.
bottom.
I'll explain. Um, when I got started, there was homes on the market for 60,000, 70,000, 100,000. I could have got you a really nice home in Katy for $150,000.
Hmm.
You won't find that house in Katy for 150,000, or you maybe a crack house. It may not be something you want to live in, but point is, you will never see those prices again. It's like
Anymore.
no, no. It's like Bitcoin, right? It's like, the Houston market for the most part is pretty resilient because we never really saw the type of inflation the markets like, for example, Austin received. The Austin market, in my opinion, has been overvalued by at least 40%. Um, Houston, for the most part, is pretty resilient, it's pretty strong, and that also has to do with the fact that it's so damn big. So I do feel like it is still a good buy. It's actually a great time to buy because you and I know that for the past couple of months there has been more inventories and more options for people, more choices for people. Sellers are getting to the point that they're actually not willing to negotiate. That wasn't the case last year. So uh, get with a good agent and right now is the time to negotiate because if the rates drop, guess what? It's too late.
What do you say to the question that all real estate agent gets? The number one top 10 on MTV charts, or or back in the days MTV Billboard. I don't know what is it now, right? So in top 10, number one. Here it comes, the Billboard number one question every agent gets. I'm gonna wait till the interest drops. What do you have to
So
say
is
to that?
everybody else.
Say that again.
So is everybody else.
So is
If
it
you're gonna
everybody?
wait, so is everybody else. The thing is, um, how should I put this? Um, there's no timing the market. I know it, you know it. Anybody that's uh, any type of investor knows you will never uh time the market. The market is always going to win. Here, I tell people number one is buy what you can, okay? Because the list of wants, like what is that saying? The eye of man is never satisfied or whatever. Like, buy within your comfort zone. And don't buy your dream home. I tell all my buyers, you don't want to buy your dream home. Never. Nobody has their forever home. Not unless you're retired, you know. But if you're still out there, you're raising kids, you're working hard, you're hustling, you're not buying your dream home. Just buy whatever you need right now. Your needs right now versus your needs a year or 2 years from now will change. So the thing is, at the end of the day, it's price is contingent on demand. So if demand for housing is greater, then so will the price. Right now, we haven't seen the demand change as much as we've seen the demand actually shift. Listen, the people that have to buy will buy. It's just that
Hmm.
simple.
Good. Um, which brokerage are you with?
Texas Signature, man, the best brokerage in town.
Best brokerage in Texas. I love it. I just wanted to hear that from you. Uh,
Did you know I'm not going to take all the credit, but I named the brokerage.
oh, really?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
I love
yeah,
it. Texas Signature Realty.
yeah. Very
That's good.
simple. Very simple. Yeah,
Yeah, and our owner broker is a good guy.
yeah.
He's a good guy, Murray Airbill. So, favorite food?
I'm not one of these guys that lives to eat. I live. What is that word?
Eat to live.
I eat to live. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Favorite food. I would say, okay, so favorite cuisine has to be by far Italian. And I don't
Uh,
mean the Italian that we eat here. I'm talking about the food in Italy.
mhm.
So I married a girl that grew up in Italy, and I was like, oh, geez, I'm thinking like Olive Garden and all of these like chain stores here. No, it's Italian food is not what you think Italian food is. It's if you like it, you're gonna love it if you go to Italy. It's that
Any
simple.
any Albanian spots in Houston that you know?
So Albanian spots, Albanian owned, yes. Albanian food, no. Basically, you have a very high likelihood that if you walk into a restaurant named Joe's, it'll probably be an Albanian restaurant. So Italian cuisine is extremely close to Albanian cuisine. So
Mm.
I tell my Italian friends Albanians do Italian better than Italians. They don't like it, but it's the truth. So. In fact, if you go to Dallas, almost every single Italian restaurant in Dallas is owned by an Albanian guy.
Hmm. Where do we buy your book?
Amazon.
Amazon.
Yep.
What?
It's called the
How
Agent Blueprint.
Agent Blueprint? How people contact you if they want to?
Instagram. Klodian underscore Ian underscore realty. That's my handle. And of course, I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, all the main ones. But I think Instagram is really the best place to catch me. I post almost daily there. So, and if you like dad jokes, I'm your guy.
Okay. Um, this is the last question I ask every guest, every single guest. Okay, it's a great. It's the question. Imagine one advice that you would give to humanity. General advice doesn't has to be real estate or anything. People watching this or your message, 10 years, 15 years, 50 years, 100 years, or tomorrow. What is one advice Claudian will give to the humanity, to the human race? My last question to you.
One word, love. That's it.
Fantastic. I love it. Thank you so much and
My
being
pleasure.
with us. And we would love to have you. You definitely